Hello. So again, I don't feel like being on camera today, same as my last video. So what you're looking at is one of my computer monitors. Isn't that fun? Don't I have a pretty little castle? This is actually from Dark Souls, but it's a gorgeous background. So you may notice I have some tarot cards up. These are all the 8 of Swords from various decks. And that is because what I'm going to be talking about today relates real well to the 8 of Swords. It's pretty much what the 8 of Swords means. So I wanted to show some of them. So I'm going to, I'll show you each one a little closer. So this is the 8 of Swords from Darkwood Tarot. I probably should have had the deck names with me, shouldn't I? Yeah, it's the Darkwood Tarot. That's the 8 of Swords from that. Then we have a lovely round one. This is from the Accurate AF Tarot deck, as in accurate as fuck. That's what the AF is. Is that really like a cat hair? That's stupid. I have cats. You know how it is if you have cats. Anyway, their deck is a round deck. This is the 8 of Swords in the Neon Moon Tarot. I love this person's decks. Their name is Pixel Occult. You can search them on Instagram. I know they have a website too. They've brought out like 5, 6 decks now, and I have all of them except the most recent one, and I love them all. So that's that. My cat is gonna be, yeah, hi baby girl. But you can't block the whole thing. She's so rude. Hey, pick where you're going. Decide what you're doing, baby girl. Cats are such messes. Another 8 of Swords. This is the Mystic Dreamer Tarot. This was my very first deck. Eight of Swords in the Ethereal Visions Tarot. Love this deck too, it's gorgeous. And I have their Oracle deck too. This is the traditional Rider-Waite 8 of Swords image, but this is a gold fancified version. This is the only original Rider-Waite art deck that I have, because I don't care about the Rider-Waite decks. I don't feel any like pull from those original images, but I did get this one because it's pretty, and because it does give me those original images to look back on, right? And sometimes it is nice to be able to compare. So this is what we're looking at. Okay, all right, great for you. What is, oh, that's what it's showing. I could see in the camera this little bit of, and my brain was like, what is that? All right, so let's talk about our topic today. We're starting with the Suit of Swords because this particular card is just perfect for the topic, and it's basically the ways we imprison ourselves, the ways we cage ourselves, we keep ourselves held in a box. And what keeps inspiring me to do this video, despite the fact that I've been wanting to do it for months, is there is a song I really like that has a line of it that is, I mean, it's the 8 of Swords in verse. The song is called Paralyzed, and it's by a guy who goes by NF, as in like Nancy Frank, not his name, but so you know what letters I said. Sometimes, you know, sometimes it's hard to tell, is that an N or an M? So it is NF, as in Nancy Frank. Okay, I love his music. It's generally very emotional, and with me being an empath, it is really easy to tap into the emotion of a song for me, and those are the songs that tend to mean the most to me. So I love his music. And I am going to read you part of the lyrics, but for now I'm just going to tell you the part that's been inspiring me to do this, and it's, I'm in a box, but I'm the one who locked me in. So absolutely perfect for 8 of Swords. I apologize if you can hear my chair squeaking. It needs about 2 cans of WD-40 or something. And I'm going to have to stop and take drinks every once in a while. My throat tends to get real dry, and you don't want me to start coughing. So, the Suit of Swords. Let's start there with our topic. They're a harsh suit. They are really a harsh suit. I mean, the 3 of Swords traditionally is 3 swords through a heart. The 10 of Swords traditionally is 10 swords in someone's back. So, I mean, they're not friendly cards, right? If you're wanting like a nice, easy breezy, positive reading, you're probably not going to be happy if Swords comes up. Because most of them do have some very unhappy meanings, all right? But I love the Suit of Swords. They are my favorite. It's when tarot and elements were put together, the swords are the air. They're the suit of air. And air is the element of intellect, thinking, and the mind, all of that kind of thing, right? So the pictures in the Suit of Swords are depictions of like representing what's going on with your mind, right? So, I mean, obviously, it doesn't mean that you're physically, bound and surrounded by swords, like the 8 of Swords, all right? It doesn't mean physically, obviously. But specifically, the swords correspond to the mind and intellect, so it's things happening in your mind that are, that these things are happening, right? Squeaky scared, squeaky chair. I can't even talk right. It's fine. I apologize. So, the 8 of Swords, in the most traditional type depictions of it, there's generally a person who is bound, maybe by a rope. This one I think is more cord. This one isn't actually bound at all. But generally it's a person who's bound. If she is bound, you can't see her. Oftentimes blindfolded, as I think every one of these are. I believe all of them are blindfolded. Maybe not. Is she blindfolded? Nope, she's not blindfolded. Okay, so this is the only one that I'm showing you that is not blindfolded. And also the only one without being bound, so that's interesting. And generally there are 8 swords kind of in a semicircle around the person, right? So you can see the 8 swords around her. You can see how they did it in this one. You can see the various blades underneath her in this one. Semicircle of swords again. I mean, you can see the 8 swords in each picture, right? But a lot of decks will go a little farther on that, okay? So this card is depicting that you are imprisoned, right? Well, the person on the card is imprisoned. But what is imprisoning them? Who is imprisoning them? And the answer to that is themselves. Because again, this is the suit of the mind. So you are imprisoning yourself, which is why some artists, this is what I was just alluding to and then realized I had more to say before I got there. Some artists actually try to depict that because they do the bondage in a way that you could get out of it. So like this woman here, with the cords around her. Do you see how loose those cords are? Her arm here could easily be pulled out of them, right? And if you can get one arm free, you can get your blindfold off and get the rest of you free, right? This woman isn't bound or blindfolded. She could just walk away. This one, she is bound, true, and hanging in there. But do you see how she is actually holding a blade too? She could cut herself down. This woman we don't even see as bound. She's just blindfolded. This one, I feel like looks a little more precarious because, like, she's also got a noose around her neck. I don't think they depicted this one quite as you know, it's your own prison and you can get out of it, as some of the others did. I know my chair is squeaky. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's not an old chair, but it's already getting a hole in it. I probably just need to get a new chair. I apologize. Oh, see? Squeaked again. You know what I should have done? Not that it helps you now. I should have switched chairs with my husband because his chair doesn't squeak. I'm sorry. So, back to the topic. So all of these are depicting you, or the person in the card at least, is in a prison of their own making. That's why a lot of these are shown in such a way that you could get out of that. The person depicted in the card could actually get away from that. So, and I think it's really great when they depict it that way too, because I think that emphasizes even more that it is a prison of your own making. I'm probably going to say that term a lot, so deal with it. So, hang on, I gotta turn my page notes. Alright. So now let's get back to the song. The song is called Paralyzed. Okay? And it talks about being paralyzed, feeling numb inside. You know, what did I become? Like, why? Is this really me? Like, I don't like this. I feel lost. I feel, you know, all of this. And then, like I said, the line, I'm in a box, but I'm the one who locked me in. So the person's kind of using the song to figure out, like, what's the problem? Why am I so paralyzed? Why am I numb? Why am I not, you know, feeling all of this? And then by the end of the lyrics, reaching the point of going, I'm the one that did this to me, but I don't know how to fix it, you know? And that's the hard thing about trapping yourselves. You don't necessarily realize that you're the one that imposed this on yourself, not somebody else. So it's difficult. It requires a lot of work on yourself. It requires a lot of inner work, or shadow work, as some might refer to it. I'm a fan of the term shadow work because it's working with our shadows, basically, the parts of ourselves that we may not like so much. It takes a lot of work. So one of the most obvious examples of how we can trap ourselves is addictions. Now, I'm not going to go deep into this topic. I am by no means an expert. I'm not giving you advice here. Addictions, though, are one of those things that we can use to imprison ourselves. Whether it's drugs, whether it's cigarettes, whether it's, why can my brain not think? Alcohol, escaping through a video game. I love video games, but they can become an addiction. There's so many ways that we escape reality because we don't want to be in it. But then the addictions to food, that's another one, right? People who are addicted to eating to escape the bad feelings. Or we can have addictions to sugar. We can have addictions to caffeine. There's so many things we can be addicted to, right? And all of them are a prison we put ourselves in. All of them. There's not a single one of us alive today that probably knew when we did the first, whatever our addiction is, had our first taste of caffeine, or, smoked the first, I don't do drugs. I don't know. So I can't really comment on that. But like alcohol, took your first drink of alcohol. Like every single one of us alive today had to know that this is an addictive substance, right? Caffeine is addicting. Alcohol is something that people get addicted to. Any type of drug out there is something people can get addicted to. I'm not opposed to marijuana. It's actually pretty good for medical use, definitely. I don't personally use it, but it can become a harmful addiction as well, just because it's not maybe as bad as meth or cocaine or something like that, it can still be an addiction. Your addiction that controls you could be coffee. You have to have coffee every day or you can't survive. That's a problem, okay? Now I'm going to stop talking about coffee because there's a lot of coffee drinkers out there and I don't want you mad at me. My point is, anything we can become addicted to, if we become addicted to it, can become our prison, right? In the beginning, you do it when you want to, but at some point you get addicted and you do it because you have to. Now you are locked in. And that is a hard thing to break. Hard. I watched my mom smuggle? Wow. Brain fog, guys, I mix up words sometimes. Struggle with a cigarette addiction. She quit multiple times during my life and ended up going back until, obviously, the last time she quit, she hasn't gone back. And that was many years ago. So there's no chance she's going back this time, but it's hard. Addictions are hard to get rid of. They're hard to stop and they're hard to stay away from. So that's one of those prisons it's gonna take some work that we might put ourselves in. We might need some professional help. We might need, some sort of therapist or counselor. We might need a rehab program for something that's related to addictions. So those are some of the very serious prisons we trap ourselves in, okay? And I don't want to go any farther into that. Like I said, I'm not an expert. And there's a lot of things we imprison ourselves in with that are not addictions. So I'm going to focus on a different one. I'm going to talk to you about a different one. Maybe it's one you haven't thought of before. And of course, when I sat down to make my notes for this video, and I was trying to think of some examples of, being trapped by yourself, I couldn't think of anything. I mean, don't you hate that? When it's like, you're like, okay, I've experienced and witnessed this so many times. I'm going to talk about it. But then when you go to think of an example, it's like your brain doesn't work anymore. So, but I did think of one because someone close to me deals with this one. So let's say you're a very caring person. Some might call you a caretaker. I don't mean like a medical caretaker, like you're taking care of someone who needs assistance, just in general, like you take care of people, right? So you were like the oldest child, kind of trained trained during childhood, to help take care of your younger siblings. And so you basically became a caretaker at a very young age. And that's what you do. You take care of people now, right? That follows you into adulthood. So you tend to attract and gather lonely people, lost people, maybe a widow, maybe, you tend to attract people that need help. But might not be a good idea for you. So once you have one or a few individuals that you've sort of gathered to you, who you have decided you are taking care of them, then you have no time. You might not have any time for yourself. You might not have any time for your immediate family. You might get exhausted. You might get run down. You might start talking to friends and family about, oh my God, this person is so draining. I'm doing my best to help her, but she is so draining on me. But then when maybe it is suggested that maybe you should not be that involved, maybe take a few steps back and let this person who is an adult handle their own life, then your response to that thought is, well, I can't abandon them. They need me. They don't have anyone else but me, right? If you're a caretaker, I'm sure you can relate to that a bit. And again, I don't mean medical caretaker. I mean, just in general in life, like you tend to be the one that takes care. You're the mother of the group. You know what I mean? Maybe if you have like kids in school, maybe like their friends, you know, you're always like feeding them and like, you know, you take care of everyone, basically, is what it is. I feel like I've made that clear, and yet I feel like I keep repeating myself. So, sorry. Brain fog, guys. Brain fog. So, if you have these thoughts about, well, but I can't abandon them. You know, they need me. That in and of itself is a whole different psychology topic. So I'm not going into there. I'm just looking at it from the point of, when you do things like that, you put yourself in a cage. You put yourself in a box, in a prison, because you have now taken on these people and convinced yourself that you are the only one that can help them. You are the only one that helps them, and you need to help them or they're not going to have anybody, right? And that type of feeling, if you have that feeling, it's not healthy for you, first of all. It doesn't leave you time for yourself or your immediate family, like I said. And you feel trapped. You get burnt out. And, you know, these people are adults. They should be able to take care of themselves. Everybody needs a friend. Everybody needs a little help now and then, but that doesn't mean you are all of a sudden everything to them. You can be a friend to them. Maybe even assist them 1 or 2 times. Like, I don't know, they have a doctor's appointment that requires someone to drive them and they don't have anyone else. And maybe you want to take them to that doctor's appointment. That's okay. Just don't let it get too much. You know what I mean? If you go too much, then you're putting yourself in that box again where you're like, well, now I'm the only person that this person has, so I have to continue to do these things for them because no one else will. And there again, you're trapped. And who is trapping you? Is it the people you've decided you need to take care of? Or is it you? The answer obviously is you. You were the one that created the prison, right? So, how do you not? How do you not create these prisons? It's not easy. In this specific example, you need to change your own thinking, right? You need to change that thinking of like, I'm all there is for this person and they have nobody else and I have to do this. You have to change that thinking so that you can let these people go. Again, I don't mean fully abandon them, never speak to them again, although there might be some that you might need to do that with. That's quite possible. But you've got to put your own mental health and well-being first, okay? And because if you don't have anything to give anybody. Yourself, your husband, your kids, your siblings, your parents, your whatever. You don't have anything to give anyone else because you're spending it all on these people who you shouldn't be this entrapped with. Okay? So it takes changing your thoughts. And changing thoughts is not easy. I highly recommend meditation. And if you don't think you can meditate or you think it's stupid, I highly, highly, highly recommend you try it anyway. There are 2 guided meditation apps I have used. Headspace and Calm. Both of them have beginning meditating programs that you can go through and see if what they say about meditating, what they say about what to focus on and how to get to that point might help you, because it helped me. I assumed there was no way I could ever quiet my mind, and then I learned that you don't have to quiet your mind to meditate. That's not a requirement. So the point is, you have to change your thoughts. And the only way I know to do that is through a long period of meditation, which helps you with mindfulness. And then mindfulness is what lets you notice those thoughts in the moment they happen so that you can counter them. Okay? So like you have a thought, this person asked me to come over and do this, but I really don't feel up to it, but like I have to, cause I'm the only one they have. So when you have that thought, then you counter it and you say, that's not true. I don't have to do this. I can do it if I want to, but I do not have to do this. I am not a bad person if I don't do this, okay? These are the types of thoughts you want to counter with, okay? And after a long enough time, and it's going to take a while, but after a long enough time of countering your thoughts with the truth, those thoughts will happen less and less, which means you'll start not trapping yourself nearly as often, okay? Another obvious way that could potentially help you is therapy. Go see someone, go talk to someone. I know that's not always easy or practical to do. Our mental health care system, at least here in the US, is pretty messed up. Most people can't afford it, including me. I don't have a therapist right now, and the last time I had one was probably 15 years ago. I'm still using things I learned back then, though, alongside with what I have learned from meditation on mindfulness. And it is a journey. It is not an overnight thing. It is not going to happen overnight, I assure you. But it will happen. But you have to put in the work. You have to put in the work on yourself so that you can really change. So, Eight of Swords. Stop trapping yourself. If only it were that easy, right? If only you could just be like, I'm just going to stop trapping myself, and there you go. Poof, it's all fixed. If only. But, it's not. So, I'm going to let you go. Let me know if you have any thoughts, comments, questions. I do not want to offend anyone, so I was not referring to medical caretakers. I want you to know that again, because that is not, that's not related to this topic. It could be, but that's not where I was going with it. Medical caretaking of a person who truly needs to be taken care of is a completely different can of worms over there that I'm not getting into because I don't have any expertise on it. I do have some expertise on changing your thoughts, though, which is what this was about. So, I love you. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. It is going to be real cold where I am. I don't know what our forecast for actual Christmas Day is yet. But I know this week we're going to be down in the single digits. And that's not generally what we do. We're kind of in the South here. And single digits isn't real common, but we're having it. So I think Christmas is going to be really cold too. Currently the forecast for Christmas is 42 actually. That's not horrible, but also the weather changes. So between now and then that could change like 3 or 4 times in the predictions. So all right, I'm gonna let you go. Love you. Have a great Christmas. See you in the next one.